to make the jump from the legacy market into the regulated cannabis industry. If you support an equitable cannabis industry, then you're an ally of MCBA, and we want you to join the movement for a better tomorrow. Now sit back and relax. We've got your daily dose loading up. Special shout out to this month's sponsor of the show, Indiva Advisors. You can check them out at indivaadvisors.com. They are a leading accounting firm dedicated to the cannabis industry. They navigate complex tax, financial, and regulatory changes to make sure that your business is compliant and efficient. They focus on you so you can focus on your business. You can check them out at indivaadvisors.com. That's INDIVA advisors.com. Now we'll get right into today's headlines and today's Daily Dose.
You guys didn't hear any of that because I was on mute, but I'm gonna start over. Hi, everyone. My name is Precious Osai-Garessa, and I am the MCBA Communications Manager for MCBA, and welcome to the Daily Dose. Again, this is where we bring you trending headlines going on in the industry, what's happening in cannabis, and really just to discuss it and see how we're all feeling. I'm excited about today's conversation because I've been excited about this state specifically. I think that a lot of things are taking a step in the right direction, and that's with Maryland. So there's a headline coming out of MJ Biz, and I will drop the link for the article in the chat so you guys can follow along. It is for the new Maryland governor is releasing $46 million for adult use. Now, this is essentially something that is kind of unheard of at the beginning of a legalization process. I mean, there's always funds, there's always people trying to do things after the fact. But this is very exciting because prior to any cannabis sales coming in, anything of that nature, that's usually where legislators trying to rely on building funding and programs. The new Maryland governor is saying, no, we're going to take a stab at it right now. So I'm going to read you some parts of the article. Again, this is on his first full day in office, Maryland Governor Wes Moore directed $46.5 million to the recently legalized state's adult use. Voters elected Moore, a Democrat, and the state's first Black governor at the same time they voted to legalize the state. Now, for all those who've been following along, we know that the law doesn't fully go into effect until July 1st, and the market still needs to be set up. But it's being estimated that Maryland could reach $1 billion in sales by its fourth year, which might not even open until 2024, 2025. Some more details about this is that most of that money of the $46.5 million will go towards cannabis reform. So $40 million will go towards a cannabis business assistance fund that's meant to assist small and minority-owned and women-owned businesses entering the cannabis space. We have $5 million that will go towards the Cannabis Public Health Fund controlled by the State Health Department, and $1.5 will go towards criminal justice information system to fund automatic expungements of past simple possession offenses. And this is something that Moore vowed to prioritize and equitable access to the cannabis industry during his campaign. And we're seeing that really churn through and through. So if you are in Maryland, I think you should be really, really, really excited for many reasons. And I used to live in the DMV area. I lived in DC, but I worked in Maryland, and sometimes I hung out in Virginia. It was trippy. My taxes were crazy for that 3-4 years I was doing that. But Maryland had also has always to me had the potential to really serve Black and Brown communities, which is a large part of its makeup. And again, what we don't see in the industry is at the very beginning, as legislation and regulations are being rolled out, there's actually core funding there to support these programs and to support businesses that want to enter the state. Now, if you paid attention to our National Cannabis Equity report that we put out, we mentioned how funding is one of the biggest issues for the cannabis industry in general, and how that funding really doesn't come after the fact. So even no shade, but look at New York. They have promised a lofty $200 million fund to support the cannabis industry, which still hasn't been fully prepped or even fully released as to how that funding is going to really support Black and Brown operators, where we know where it's sort of where it's coming from, but has it been determined? There's a lot up in the air from that. But no, we're talking hard liquid cash in Maryland from reserves. And I think it's just going to make such a huge difference. Because imagine if you're that entrepreneur, you had all your ducks in a row, your business plan, you've been studying, and you just needed support financially. Now the state is able to provide that to you while you're going through the license stage. That's completely different. On top of allocated funding that's going to go towards automatic fundings and many other social justice. I mean, I don't want to brag, but Governor Moore is really cream of the crop, honestly, because I remember listening to some of his campaigns around cannabis, and it was very direct. And from there, you saw a really crisp understanding of what went wrong in the previous market. And Maryland has the opportunity to be a very lucrative state. If you're thinking further down the line, like some of us are, in the super future when it comes to interstate commerce, the federal legalization, I don't even think that might be a lot sooner than we think. Maryland is set up to have that DMV area on lock, honestly. You know, with it being, I think Virginia is pretty much larger, but we all know Virginia right now is going through it with its legalization process with Governor Youngkin, essentially doing the exact opposite of what Governor Moore is doing in Maryland to set up the market. Governor Youngkin is rather repealing a lot of, or rather the Republicans in the Senate at Virginia are repealing a lot of the social equity efforts. And we talked about that on our last Daily Dose. If you wanted to read up on that episode or hear that episode, I'll also drop the link. But here we have the complete opposite of that. And I'm wondering how that's going to work out, being that they are bordering states. Another interesting part about the Maryland cannabis market that, you know, I think will also make it super successful is just the fact that we've seen a lot of great people come out of Maryland who are doing cannabis. One of my favorite people, Hope Wiseman, Marion Maine, who's been in the medical market for a while, and who's been a staunch advocate on cannabis legalization in Maryland. You know, she's been working to build opportunities for more people in that space. And now with the support of the legislature, I think that will actually be able to. I'm very much looking forward to what Maryland looks like. You know, it might give us that glimpse of like Massachusetts when they had their whole social equity program rolled out, with their cohorts and giving training, having a system in place that directly led to licensing. You know, that has not really been the forefront as some of these states are starting to come along. And even Missouri is in the process of earlier today of setting up their regulated market, you know, putting the health department in charge, really just doing all the steps that we know most states do as a law. There's a lot of prioritization in Maryland for the Black and Brown community. So I'm very excited to see how it is. If you are in Maryland, I encourage you to get involved. I encourage you to go to those meetings as they're happening, as their commissioner forming, as the legislators are putting in rules. It is so very much important to comment publicly, to be a part of that public comment process. I've testified many a times, and it just makes a huge difference because sometimes, little do you know, what you say can impact those regulations. One tiny little, you know, sentence or two can strike something larger that's making it easier or making it reducing those barriers for not just you, but many more people who are trying to apply. So again, great news coming out of Maryland. This has been the Daily Dose. We'll always be coming with you with some hot topics happening in the industry. Moving on to some things happening at MCBA. Please tune in with us. We have a super dope panel coming up this Wednesday for our small business education series. This time we're discussing business plans and business development, really getting back to the basics. When you have all that information in front of you, how do you put it into a concise business plan? As somebody who has went through that phase, I have about 5 to 6 iterations of a business plan that are all being used, all being worked. But that was through much trial and error. So I believe this webinar would definitely help folks. And check it out. Luis Vega, who is one of our speakers, is in the chat. He will also be participating in a business plan panel. So you definitely want to look out for that. And also just stay tuned with us. We do have a New Year Same Vision fundraiser going on right now. If you haven't, please consider donating to the MCBA mission and everything we're doing to, just keep up the work to build an equitable market. It's not easy work. It is tireless work. It is selfless work. And it's really been done with the support of our larger cannabis community. So keep on supporting us and we'll keep on doing the best of our ability. All right. That's been a Daily Dose. You guys have a great day and I'll see you tomorrow.